Did you know that 85% of your engine wear occurs at startup? Yes, that is correct, and this is where Lower the Friction comes in by putting a protective, lubricating barrier on all moving parts. This now gives you full-time protection to make your engine last longer, run smoother, give you better performance, and improved fuel economy. People across the country are reporting some very exciting results. Go to lowerthefriction.com, place your order, and enter in promo code SOS to get 5% off of your order. That's lowerthefriction.com. Well, hello everyone, and welcome to the weekly Secrets of Saturn live stream. I am Jason Lindgren, your host. We're actually not having a lot of folks on this week, so let me change my up front here. It's only Crow, Wayne, and myself this week to break down the document of choice. Let's see, I gotta move everybody around. Baldini is not here. So how's everybody doing? Hopefully well. Okay, and then let's move Crow right over to this little corner right here. He's got a corner all to himself. All right, here we go. All right, everybody. So
I don't see you streaming, dude.
He's streaming. It went
streaming?
up now.
I should be streaming. Is this thing being a jerk face again? It likes to be a jerk face.
It has more of a delay than usual for some reason.
Well, let me double check. Is everybody hearing our voices? Tell me in the chat room if so.
I see the little...
Okay, they say loud and clear.
Loud and clear?
I see the homepage. Yeah, I see the homepage logo. Nothing's running on my end.
Restream looks good. Let me check here. Let me double check. Just make sure everybody's functioning. I almost get the feeling they don't like us talking and are always jerking us around. You ever get that feeling?
It's been weird.
All right, D-Live says we good. We hear you. Okay, good. All right.
You know what? I think I got the wrong link. Someone kicked me the link through Skype.
I can do that. Let's get Crow the link.
Okay.
Live radio, everybody. That's the way it works. We'll do it live.
We'll do it live.
We'll do it live.
We'll do it in post.
What could possibly go wrong?
I heard somebody do a really funny mashup of Christian Bale screaming on a movie set mixed with that Bill O'Reilly clip of him being a douchebag. It was pretty funny. It surprisingly went fairly well together. YouTube is not on, someone is saying. I got nothing on YouTube.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. It's
What's
waiting
going
for you
on?
to start.
All right, so D-Life's working and the tube is not.
Yeah, chat's working, but the video is not playing.
No, YouTube's working over here on my end, guys.
Let me check on my phone and see what we got. Sorry, guys. Let me take 30 seconds here and see what the hell is going on.
How many people in the chat can see video running, or they just see that little planet-looking thing?
Well, on my phone it's running. YouTube is good, says Jay Armstrong.
Let me.
Okay, everybody.
Okay, so this is weird.
Just run with it.
Yeah.
I guess it is.
I can't believe it. YouTube isn't working right. Oh, shocker. All right.
No, it's got me blocked. Yeah.
Well, it's not showing up actually on my main screen. It says no data, which is very, very odd because Restream has data and showing my picture. DLive is totally fine. DLive is the one that usually is fine, except for that one time. But anyway, all right. So I dropped a link in the chat rooms on YouTube and DLive for everybody. We are going over a document today called Mind, Society, and Behavior. And this is Wayne's pick this week. So Wayne, why don't you give everybody a little background on what it is we're going to be going over here?
All right. Well, I found this lovely document dated from 2015 from the World Bank Group. And Chapter 8 of this document, which we'll be going through tonight, talks about health and how to change the health behaviors of the public. Why would they have an interest in that, the World Bank? You got to wonder about these.
You got to wonder. You got to wonder.
The World Bank, what interest do they have in your health? It's banking. They do mortgages and stuff, right? No. Well, when you look at the word mortgage and realize it means death agreement, then yeah, I guess they kind of want to know a little something about people's health habits. So anyway, that's what we're going to do. We're going to go through this here tonight, and we'll see how it lines up perfectly with things going on in society today. And this was published back in 2015. So there's a lot of different sections to this particular document, and it talks about basically ways that the World Bank Group and their affiliates could socially engineer the public into different ways of behaving. So that's what this whole document really pertains to. It's all about psychology and how to manipulate the masses, pretty much. And it's out there in, the open forum for anybody to find and look at.
So it looks like YouTube did that goober thing where they duplicated my thing again. So I'm going to go find the other link and give it to everybody. Wayne, go over this a little bit. Give me 2 seconds so I can find the right stream and make sure everybody's on the right page there.
Okay.
Wayne, while we were waiting for Jason, and earlier today, in between my endless transcript creation, I read through this, and what I realized is, like, some parts are trying to act like, well, how can we get people to understand that a credit card loan would only cost them 2% interest, and a payday loan would be like 45% interest. So they're framing it like these stupid poor people need to understand that they're getting 45% interest when they could only have 2. Of course, they're pushing the idea of having to have credit. The point is that everything in here that I've read could be reverse engineered. Half the things are acting like they want to help poor people or, something like that. But everything in here could be used in the opposite direction.
Absolutely, and that's kind of how they write things. They use that old alchemical principle of do it backwards. Read it backwards. So if you're looking at it, it's a backwards engineering of things is what they're looking at here as a blueprint here. So if you do kind of reverse order on these things, you could see how you could use this to steer people, even though they try to make it look like, oh, we're just here to help, and it's in our best interest to make sure people are understanding these different ideas and we can help them, that kind of thing. And this is a good thing, and it's important that we do this. But if you know a little something and learn how to read between the lines and understand that all of these different types of documents and stuff are dual use, then you could see how they could use something like this to engineer social behaviors. And I saw especially relevant this chapter 8, talking about health. So I'll just go ahead and read like the opening paragraph here until Jason gets back.
We're good, actually. It did indeed make
okay.
another duplicate. I don't know why it's doing that. The second week in a row it did that. I got to look out for
weird.
that from now on. So apparently this is some glitch in the thing. Even though I'm making the streams just as I always did, I don't know what's going on. But anyway, you can go ahead and read that, though. I just want to let everybody know. In the old one, I just got rid of it, so there's no more confusion. Everybody should be on this one. I saw the numbers jump up, and I just dropped it in the Skype thing here, too, Crow, if you need it.
Yeah, I got it. Everything's working.
Everything should be fine now. At least I know now. Okay, this is an issue that I got to deal with.
Definitely. And maybe we should just talk amongst ourselves for a couple minutes till everybody gets on the stream here. Give them a couple minutes to add on.
Four times the people watching. So.
Yeah, we're up to 200. Everybody's joining quick. I'm at 203 here, and it's jumping up. So, all right, so we're good. Wayne, go ahead and you can go ahead and do this though while we're doing that, and then I'll find the chapter we want to get into.
Okay, we'll give you a chance to catch up to us here, Jason. I'll start reading. I'll take your part this week in reading just the beginning phase here. Let's start up here. Chapter 8, Health. Every day, people get sick, stay sick, or even die because of missed opportunities. Each year, 7.6 million children under the age of 5 die from avoidable causes. And then it cites the source there in parentheses. I won't bother to read that part. In countries that suffer the greatest share of these deaths, the most effective interventions are almost all preventative or therapeutic measures that should be within the reach of most households and communities, including breastfeeding, vaccinations, assisted deliveries,
Got to get the vaccinations in there.
oral rehydration therapy, water sanitation measures that do not require major investments in infrastructure, and insecticide-treated mosquito nets.
What?
Yeah.
Make sure you give your kids DDT to keep the flies away.
That's right.
That's
DDT
what our doctor
works
recommends.
great, folks.
Don't fret if their shells appear thin.
Doctors all over the world recommend DDT. And that's not a far cry from how it really was pushed back in the early days.
My doctor recommends a Lucky Strike because it's smooth on the throat.
Yes. Well, there was actually a brand of cigarettes, I'm trying to remember what it was called, but they recommended for pregnant women to smoke because they were smoother or something.
It's toasted.
Yeah, it's toasted. Yeah, it's got that good toasted.
Wasn't that Gerber?
Yeah, probably.
Maybe, I don't know, man.
Get them early, get them long.
Anyway.
All right, so I'm at.
Did you find that?
Yeah, I'm good. Yeah, I am good.
Okay.
And,
I did the opening paragraph. I'll let Jason do the reading. He's
all right,
much
yep,
more
so here we are.
Yeah.
Health outcomes can be improved by applying the insights from behavioral economics and related fields. Individuals have limited attention and act on the basis of what is salient. Individuals intrinsically value social approval, masks, and adherence to social norms, more masks, social distancing. And individuals have many frames or mental models through which they can interpret a situation. Wow, are they herding cattle or are they talking about people? Or are they talking about both? Who knows?
They've only got one Overton window, so they got to frame it how they got to frame it.
Telling people...
make sure you're wearing 2 masks, folks.
At least.
I saw a dude wearing 2 masks.
Did you point and laugh and be like, look at the idiot?
I felt bad, man. His glasses were steaming up. It's like, brother, it's no way to live. I wanted to say something. I just kept my mouth shut.
I don't even know what to say about that. I can't believe people are falling for this. Telling people that there is a way to improve their health is rarely sufficient to change behavior. In general, successful health promotion campaigns engage people emotionally and activate or change social norms as much as they provide information. Okay, so I think we just hit at the heart of the matter already, didn't we, gentlemen?
Right in the opening salvo here, yep.
How to engineer the society.
So this is the Bernays technique, by the way. Let's just make sure we talk about Eddie. Absolutely, Edward Bernays knew that if you target an emotion with the subject matter and tie those together, you're going to have a considerably greater chance of success. The message disseminated should be that others will support you or even applaud you if you do it, not just that something is good for you. Oh, okay. So gold star for everybody. Successful campaign. Remember, folks, this is the World Bank. This is one of the biggest globalist organizations that exist. and they are literally saying how to patronize people to do what you want. Just so you know how they view us.
Essentially, yeah, that's exactly what this is.
And am I exaggerating? I know I'm being snarky, but am I exaggerating, or are they literally talking about this is how you get these retards to do what you want?
No, that's essentially what they're saying in a nutshell. That's what it is, exactly. And even though you are snarky about it, rightly so, because that's kind of the opinion they have of us. They think of us as little more than cattle.
He's not being snarky enough. In the opening part of this document, they open by saying, currently we're wrestling with Ebola. So be more snarky. These rat bastards know exactly what they're doing, and Ebola does not exist.
Successful campaigns address many or most of the following: information, performance, problem solving, social support, materials, and media. Now, do we want to break that sentence down, because we just saw all that for a year now?
Absolutely, especially the media part of it.
The media, they could not have done what they did without the media. They absolutely could not have. You want to know the biggest traitors right now? You're looking at it every time you turn on the damn television or pick up a newspaper. Those are some of the biggest traitors in this world.
Well, let's do a rundown from big blockbuster Hollywood movies created from, let's say 2015 forward, of people in a situation where they've had to cover their face. Let's see, the sequel to Blade Runner, they're always covering their face with like those turtleneck things. Of course, this all starts all the way back with Bane from Batman. It goes on and on and on. I was doing a count the other day, and I easily got up to 10 where they were introducing something so that you couldn't see the face of people, so that you could get normalized to the idea of not seeing a face.
Yeah, now granted, Bane was a character around since the 80s, but he wasn't the most exciting character to choose, and that out of the 3 Nolan Batman movies, that one was fucking boring, considering the first 2 were really good.
Yeah, the reason I said that is because at first the masks look one way, and now it's like, for the idiotic, a fashion statement, and it looks like that Bane thing. It goes from right under their eyes, right up to the, it looks like a muzzle.
Yeah, and that's exactly what it's designed to be. So
they've got those ones that look like Cobra soldiers from G.I. Joe being really fashionable. Cobra! You will all wear your masks in allegiance to Cobra. All right. A campaign should tell people that a behavior will improve their health, demonstrate, which is information, demonstrate and model the behavior, which is performance, reduce barriers to its adoption, problem solving, create a system for supporting people who choose to adopt it, social support, provide the materials necessary to begin adoption, which is materials, and provide a background of support through in-person, print, radio, television, and other approaches. The lying scumfuck media. So, This was 2015, and I'm sure they had things in mind way before that, but there you go, guys. This is everything that they just did to us the past year in this freaking little document right here.
Well, part of the in between the lines was it said start producing masks now, because you got to give the materials, right? That's what it says right there. You've got to provide the necessary materials.
Yep. And while they were out of them for a short period of time, it really didn't take very long till I saw them piled high in Walmart and the like.
That was a scarcity ploy, though, because I watched that go down too.
Yeah.
That's what they're doing with the inoculation right now. South Park is about to run a special because they're shills. And what they're going to do is make fun and use comedy to try to blunt the fact that they are shills, but they're going to push the scarcity thing. Here's a 75-year-old lady going to the front of the line, getting the shot when all us young people need it. It's ridiculous, utterly ridiculous that an adult mind would even be swayed one way or the other by this nonsense, but they will be.
Oh, absolutely. I think more adults watch these different types of cartoons and stuff than kids do, especially those ones that are geared more towards what I guess we would call in society an adult, even though it's, maybe 6th grade level stuff that they're pushing all the time.
Young adults. The Rick and Morty kind of thing.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's the problem. Family Guy made fun of it not too long ago when they said, "Why would anyone watch Family Guy?" And they said because people who grew up in the '80s never grew up and they're still watching cartoons. It's the truth. When we were young, cartoons came on for 3 or 4 hours Saturday morning for children. The only other place you saw them predominantly was a couple clips of Chilly Willy before a drive-in movie. Other than that, cartoons didn't hold a lot of sway in our world.
That's interesting that's being pointed out, because here's the thing, like in the 60s and 70s, yeah, there are cartoons, and there are plenty of them, but a lot of them were higher quality made. Things like Warner Brothers, the Bugs Bunny and all that, and the older Tom and Jerry's were really well done as far as the artwork and all that. But in the 80s is when you really start seeing the mass market. That's when they figured out you can make toys and join it together with a TV show and you will sell a gazillion more toys. Great examples, G.I. Joe and Transformers. But they did it with a whole shitload of stuff. They did it for little girls and little boys. They really figured that stuff out. And then you had the after-school cartoon block. It wasn't just Saturday morning anymore.
That was later. That was up into the 80s. That didn't really go on too much in the 70s. And it was like whenever they would do a movie that was animated, it was like something unusual. Everyone's, oh, wow, we got to see this.
And the quality level was good, too.
Yeah. Well, it was all hand-drawn, among other things. But, I mean, look where we are now. We got to Ren and Stimpy, and now it's just commonplace, like on that. What's that channel that does adult movies or adult cartoons?
Adult Swim.
Adult Swim.
It's Cartoon Network, but it's Adult Swim.
Look at the quality of what they're doing there.
That's actually one of the big things that turned me off to so much of that stuff and why I never saw it for the longest time. The only thing that ever turned me on to Rick and Morty was you. I couldn't stand the animation, and to this day I still think it's kind of cheap and gross. But because you kept referencing it and I finally watched it, I ended up thinking it was funny. But yeah, you're absolutely right. Like in the 90s, remember you and I have talked about this a lot, even in older episodes, I remember us talking about this, how in the 80s you had better animation. It was kind of still kind of drawing from a lot of the Japanese kind of style. And then it turned into that look like rickety, barely drawn crap that really kicked off big time in the 90s and then all the way up to today where it's just this very twisted, kind of sick, weirdo fantasy looking shit.
Yeah, it's or what they run on Adult Swim, which someone in junior high school could draw with no art talent. It's ridiculous. And by the way, Rick and Morty jumped the shark in about season 2 or 3.
3 was good. 4 really didn't feel right to me. Like,
because it's too popular, so now it's going to get co-opted a little more tightly. It was doing what it was doing, but it wasn't a proven. After season 1, it was already, the writing was on the wall because it became so popular so quick.
The writing itself, though, like it still had a running storyline that worked, and I thought it was good for what it was anyway. But yeah, 4 just felt really awkward. It just, the first episode, it kind of fit in with the older stuff, but then as that season went on, I only watched those once, which is unusual. I watched the other ones a couple of times because I actually thought they were funny.
Well, they were telling, the early ones were telling you things that were true in an offhand way, like their little episode about what is it, Baby Rick and the vampires there. They're telling you things that are true about our world. And when anything gets popular, that means more eyes. It means it's going to get co-opted.
Are you doing a bit?
Yeah, exactly.
Yep, they're all doing a bit.
Coach
and we're the joke. That's right, Coach Ferratu. What about the one where they were glitching out the universe around them and they were making fun of everything, poking us in the eye with that? That was the one that finally, you said that multiple times in some older episodes that finally got me. I was like, all right, I want to see what the hell you're talking about.
That was all about Apple. That was a shot at Apple computers that almost nobody got. And it's also a brief look into what can be done and what is about to be done. But if you recall, the one dude, Rick's son-in-law that he hates, was trying to sell apples, got apples or something like that.
Yep.
But in the end, they're flying back in a little, after they blow the place up, they're flying back in a little apple-shaped thing. And I think they even draw an apple on the window. That was all about Apple computing.
Oh, human music.
And they even showed the rendering of the fake rendering of the moon launch was included, or the moon landing was included in that episode. They told you true things back then.
Now they're just talking about toilets.
Right.
Yep, big difference.
That's because Tavistock walked in and said, "Oh, we got to get some shit in everyone's heads."
Ironically, too,
episode.
once they signed for, how many episodes did they sign up for? Like 70 or something like that. It was some huge block that they signed a deal for. Or I think it was more than that.
It's ironic considering they just ripped off Back to the Future at the base.
That's what made me not want to watch the show. I looked, I was like, so they copied Back to the Future and made it stupid? I don't want to watch this.
Anyhow, we're getting off point here.
Yeah, well, I never watched an episode of that show yet.
Good for you.
I mean, I don't know. Maybe I'll have to check it out just to see.
Just the early stuff is good.
Just have a cigarette instead.
Yeah, I don't do that either.
Put on some human music. An example of a campaign.
Wait till you get to snake jazz.
Snake jazz. Okay.
See what I'm saying?
It does have some good jokes in there. I'll give them that.
Jump the shark.
Jump the shark, totally. An example of a campaign that pulled together these elements occurred in Bangladesh. In 2006, more than 75% of urban dwellers and 60% of rural residents used oral rehydration salts as a treatment for diarrhea, thanks to a public health campaign. But in addition, public health officials wanted people to use zinc, which was widely available and cheap, together with the oral rehydration salts, and a major campaign was introduced to increase the use of zinc as a supplement for infants, which greatly increases the rate of survival in cases of severe diarrhea. Officials mounted a campaign that included direct marketing, which were painted dinner plates, community engagement and social support, which were courtyard meetings, and role-playing, which included plays, radio dramas, and television serials, as well as public displays like branded rickshaws. As a result of this campaign, knowledge about the use of zinc increased from almost zero to more than 75%.
So do you see the hypocrisy here? This is the World Bank that's backing this. And what you're talking about is unclean water, poor sanitation, basically. Do you suppose the World Bank could afford to put a toilet in everybody's even villages without even fractionally denting what they're worth? And yet what they're interested in is socially engineering people to take zinc. And I don't know that much about zinc, but I'm guessing if I looked into it, I might be able to find nefarious ideas why this is the thing they're pushing for. But they're also, everything they're pointing out here, even if they were on the up and up and they were concerned with babies dying of diarrhea and this was their solution, anyone with a black mind could just flip this backwards and reverse engineer it to do the exact same thing in a horrible way.
Well, what you're saying, I mean, holds merit, because think about this. If they had the money to put into these direct marketing campaigns, right, painting dinner plates, community engagement, social support meetings, role modeling in plays, radio dramas, and television, that's social programming right there. That's what we were just talking about. They put it in the entertainment, as well as public displays like branded rickshaws. Now, have you seen any buses with pictures of people with masks on going up the road?
Well, here's a brilliant idea. Why didn't they just give people zinc instead of spending money on all the shit?
Did you catch their underhanded acronym with their little world of the ocean, the sea? The oral rehydration salts are oars, like you use on a dinghy.
Yeah.
They can't help themselves.
Yeah, it's crazy. Like they could afford to put sanitation, like toilets and
clean water. That's
clean
the other one that always, it always kicks my butt. Whenever they're making a big to do, these people don't have clean water. It's like, oh my, what would it be like me pulling a penny out of my pocket to make sure everyone in an entire country had clean water? Would be the equivalent of the World Bank ponying up.
This is exactly what went on in the early 20th century, too. What changed everything? Sanitation.
Yeah. And maybe there's a reason that they like to keep these places, in that kind of a shape, because then they could look back and cite these numbers of disease and illness and that kind of thing, which is part and parcel of what goes on when you're living in unsanitary conditions like that, and then use that to promote, say, whatever kind of a campaign you want to. And I think that plays a part in it too, because you could see they're throwing money at it in doing this, putting on these different entertainment type things, and doing this branding, direct marketing campaign like they're doing with it. So if that's the thing, if they're actually putting money to do that, wouldn't it be money better spent to actually put in the facilities that these people need, rather than trying to socially engineer them in a certain direction?
Get this, Wayne. So I just Googled zinc dangers. Yes, this is the top return in a Google return with 4,100,000 results. Yes, if you get too much, can zinc be dangerous? Yes, if you get too much. Signs of too much zinc include nausea, vomiting, loss of appetite, stomach cramps, diarrhea. So they're issuing the diarrhea. The diarrhea. Oh my! I'm not even going to do this. I'm just saying, man.
Crazy.
All right, the next section is enhancing the use of mass media. Well, they definitely figured that shit out. 3 examples of mass media illustrate the dual challenge of changing individuals' beliefs and their health behaviors. The examples relate to breastfeeding, smoking, and HIV testing. Breastfeeding is one of the least expensive strategies for improving the health of young children. Many mass media campaigns have encouraged breastfeeding. Evaluation of 7 campaigns in developed countries found that they increased rates of initiating breastfeeding among poor women. No mass media campaigns in developing countries have been systematically evaluated, but the available information suggests that they can work when paired with local efforts that involved direct and proactive interactions with women and their social networks. Mass media campaigns have frequently been used to reduce smoking rates. Such campaigns have been extensively studied and evaluated in developed countries, mostly the United States, where variation in campaigns across states can be used to measure impact. These campaigns have been most effective at preventing young people from taking up smoking and in supporting individuals who have already quit smoking. Using community members such as teachers and parents to deliver messages and extending the campaigns over a long period, at least 12 months, increase their success. However, at least 12 months, huh? That says about where we're at. However, the reviews find no evidence that the campaigns led smokers to quit smoking or change the social norms of smoking.
So this is 2015, and they're acting like they're hitting on something new, when in fact the reason so many people smoke in this country is because of Edward Bernays and Hollywood. If you go back to the 40s and 50s, I defy you to find 2 scenes back to back where someone's not smoking. And I'm talking the main character, but it's ironic.
How James Bond used to smoke.
Everyone did. Bogey, Bacall, before Bond, in that era before that, it was completely normalized. And there's actually ads where they have doctors recommending on TV that you smoke and that there's no connection to lung cancer or any of these other things. But they open this whole use of media by pointing out that HIV testing is one of the things they're interested in. HIV doesn't exist unless you're magic like Johnson. Other than that, it doesn't exist. So you can see where this is coming from, and you can see where it's going.
Absolutely, not to mention the fact that they completely contradict themselves right there at the end of the paragraph. Up at the top, they're talking about how these campaigns have been most effective at preventing young people from taking up smoking and blah, 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 blah. And then down here it says, however, the reviews find no evidence that the campaigns led smokers to quit smoking or change the social norms of smoking. So it hasn't changed the social norms.
Get them while they're young. That's the message, right?
Yeah, and it does say up here that it prevented young people from taking up smoking, but I would take umbrage up with that. All they did was redirect them to something new, the whole vape phenomenon, right? And that has to do probably with the changing hands of the money from the old tobacco purveyors to whoever is producing these devices and the cartridges for them. So it's just kind of shifting up who's the beneficiary at the top of this. It's not going to be your old R.J. Reynolds and those type places that are benefiting. It's, some other probably subgroup of these same companies, just to kind of throw people off the track.
Hey guys, cover me for a minute. My daughter apparently just cut her hand. I'll be right back.
All right. Ooh, that's not good. Okay. Anyway,
maybe we should jump in to find out what mass media has to do with fake HIV testing.
yeah, let's read on. I'll pick up right where Jason left off. Similarly, a review of over 20 mass media campaigns to encourage HIV testing finds no long-term effects after the campaigns ended. In many cases, however, there are short-term effects. In the case of HIV testing, even short-term effects are socially important.
What does that mean, socially important? That has there's no signifying language there that is acting like there's an outcome, which is the only thing that would matter if we were talking about a disease. So they're talking about engineering, and that's it.
That's essentially all it is. I mean, that's kind of a nebulous type of a description. It's socially important. Well, how so? Please define that. What makes something socially important?
To what part of society?
Yeah.
The upper 0.5%.
Yeah, but if you just take HIV out of there and replace the word HIV with COVID, then, you could kind of see where this is going. But anyway, let's get to the next paragraph here. A review of the published literature evaluating all the types of mass media campaigns for health echoes these findings. The campaigns effectively promote positive behaviors and prevent negative behaviors only when the campaigns are paired with local efforts to support the desired behavior change. Most campaigns are too short in duration, and some even backfire. For instance, a recent U.S. anti-drug campaign targeting youth may have unintentionally increased drug use by suggesting that it was commonplace. Teens took this message to mean that it was acceptable among their peers.
Too bad they didn't know what they were doing, huh, Wayne?
The health information was ignored, but not the information about the social norm. See how they get that in there? That's important. That's the programming tool, appealing to the social norm. That's what they do. They know that some of these messages will backfire. They admit it up there. But guess what? I think that they realize and they know which ones are going to backfire and exactly why. It's the same thing with the stop the bullying nonsense that they push all over the place now. Have you seen that? Where,
right.
The anti-bullying thing, same thing. It leads to more bullying.
What makes all this laughable is this is 2015. So we're basically, 5-6 years ago. They could run digital models on any of this and get a 98 or a 99 accurate prediction rate. So this is, I don't even know what to call this. It's unneeded for the purpose they're trying to make it seem like it's needed. But on the face of it, every one of these things could be put to use for terrible ends, which, I mean, they kind of just did with their little drug thing. They got more teenagers to use drugs, I guess, with one of their campaigns.
Right. And that's the thing. I mean, when you look at this and realize that all of these different things are dual use, and it's written right into their blueprint here. That's what this is. It's a blueprint. This is how we do it. These are the steps that we take to roll out this social change that we want to put. This is the definition of social engineering. And this is geared towards people, like the health policies of people and affecting the health of the public at large. And that's what this is directed for. This is socially engineering the health outcomes of the public. And this is all intended to steer everybody into the whole digital type era with their healthcare information. It's coming. I mean, it's going to be, your biometric data all collected on a blockchain utility, tied directly to your bank account, tied to your social credit score. And that's coming too. I mean, it's been ported out over in Australia, and it's rolling out heavily in China. And it's only a matter of time before it hits us over here in the U.S.
Yeah. Everything okay?
Yeah, I just had to make sure there's no glass in her hand and all that. It wasn't too bad. Where do we leave off here, guys?
Mass media, right column, second paragraph.
Mass media, yes. Right above the blue words.
Okay. Mass media campaigns on health do not appear to be useful in changing mistaken mental models of illness because the message is filtered through the model itself. For example, over a third of poor women in India believe that increasing fluid intake for children with diarrhea makes them sicker.
Which actually might be true if it's the actual water they're drinking that's making them sick in the first place, I would point out.
Well, yeah, it'd be helpful if they clarified their point, doesn't it?
Yep.
They follow a model in which diarrhea is interpreted as leaking. Since more fluid means more leaking, it must be bad. With such a mental model, the message that ORS helps children survive diarrhea may fall on deaf ears, since, according to that model, ORS only increases leaking. It does not decrease it.
What does that even mean? Are they just echoing what I just read off Google, that zinc makes diarrhea worse if you take too much?
That could be. And actually, if you look at this is like really insulting to the people they're talking about. Oh, these people are so dumb. They think that giving a baby water makes them have diarrhea. That's what they're implying there. That's what they think of us.
Their leaking model doesn't work either, because if a thing is leaking, you would seek to replace what's leaked out. So, I mean, it's insulting.
Yeah, that's absolutely. So they're saying these poor backwards people, they don't know what's good for them. We need to instill in their brains what's good for them. These dummies, they don't know that if you wear a mask, you'll be safe from the COVIDs.
They need their zinc processed by Johnson & Johnson.
But it does cost tears. I know. Okay, let's continue on here. One opportunity for tackling mental models can come from the juxtaposition of well-known moral or valuable members of society and misunderstood illnesses or stigmatized individuals. So let's get The Rock to be a dipshit and come on a commercial and say, "Wear a mask, people, because I'm The Rock."
Yeah, all of them. Snoop Dogg, Tom Cruise, George Clooney, they're all shills. And now they're doing the worst thing I've seen in a long time with this wellness thing that's supposed to go on the side of your business. They've got all their little A-listers out shilling for that. That is maybe 2 steps away from a Fahrenheit 450, 451 world. It's unbelievable what I don't know. They got a slick logo, and they get their De Niro's and other people, J-Lo's, to come out and say, "Oh, you want to feel safe in here?" It's gone beyond ridiculous. I can't imagine that this is going to hold up. But if it does, you know what? Maybe we are monkeys and we need to be pruned back or something. I don't know.
Well, here's the thing. The states, this is a fact. You could look this up. Not that anybody here needs convincing. But the states that haven't had mask mandates and haven't been going bananas shutting everything down, compared to the states that have been absolute insane, over-the-top ridiculous, there's no difference. There's no difference. There's no massive illness going on. There just isn't, and that's that.
Well, there's, if you want to be real, there's no massive illness in either place.
That's what I'm saying. There's nothing. There is no massive illness going on.
You know our common friend.
Of course.
So he's good friends with a doctor in a very rich county in our country, one of the top rich counties, and so he gets sick the other day for about a day, and then he's over it, and he's buds with his doctor. So his doctor tests him and says, "Yep, you're positive." So he asks him, "Well, what do you do about that?" He says, "Nothing." and so I said, "Yeah, go ahead and get tested again in 2 days, and you won't have it. Then get tested in 2 more, and you will have it." But
maybe
on top of
you
that,
might.
he asked his doctor how many people were in the hospital for COVID, and he said 1.
Because we have to shut everything down because of that one person. Everything.
I think it's wearing thin, but I would point out that the places that went Nazi with the masks, that was primarily due to the people that lived there, not so much the governance or the police. In some places, that's not true. In some places,
well, that's
like
the United States.
Yeah, in California, they were trying to do a show of force here and there, but in most places here, for me, the worst kind of things I've had to deal with have come just from other people. Luckily, I'm me, and I look them in the eye like, yeah, well, You want to dance? I mean, what? You're not my mom. You're not my dad.
Now, to be fair, California wants to put people in jail for not using the proper pronouns on your Twitter account.
Good luck with
California, the land of the insane. I'll tell you.
All right. So, yeah, just to make it really clear, folks, there is no mass illness going on. Crow and I have spoken to multiple medical professionals who work in hospitals, and they all said the same damn thing. Yes, there seems to be some kind of respiratory illness, but no, it's not a crisis in any way, shape, or form, and there's no justification for shutting anything down. That is the exact same thing they all said.
It even gets worse, Jason, because at one point, and this was a conversation I was sent between a doctor and another person, it was recorded. His claim was that part of this was to literally cull obese and old people because Blue Cross Blue Shield and these types of insurers were just overwhelmed with the number of people they'd made sick over the years with all their pharmaceuticals, and the system was just going to collapse under its own weight. And he went on to say it looks like it was a pretty effective campaign. I hadn't really considered that, but I did know that most of the death number, like I personally know a family that I've known a long time here. A member of their family had been struggling on death's door for like 3 years. Well, he passed away 2 weeks ago. So I picked up the paper and brought it in, and I noticed his obituary, and it said he died of COVID. That's been the majority of what's gone on here, is old people with heart disease are passing away, and the added stress to what they've done, and the isolation, and all the things that came with the lockdown that just make life miserable for people who are in dire straits in the first place. It multiplies the hell out of things. But that's where I think the majority of their numbers have come just from older people that were having a tough time to start with.
Yeah, and then you got to consider the fact that the flu doesn't exist anymore. There were 17
There is no
cases.
flu, only COVID.
There were 17 cases of the flu reported last week, as compared to over 15,600 the previous year.
Oh, that's
17.
That's close.
Nationwide. Yeah, nothing going on there. Well, you know what it is? It's because everybody's wearing masks and social distancing. So,
so we should do that forever, right?
Yeah, that's what they're talking about next. They think that's a great mitigation strategy right there.
They're already queuing up forever here in the state of Rhode Island. They ran a spot on TV the other night saying people are wanting to know how long they're good for if they get both vaccines. So then they inform you that if you have both vaccines, you're good for 3 months. And if you come in contact with someone, you don't have to quarantine. But after that 3 months, you're no longer good anymore, implying that you're going to need more shots after you've already had two. So they're already floating this idea around. And actually, I read parts of this document we're in here, Wayne. I did a vaccination search through the document, and it's very telling too, because what they were concerned with is how many people think that vaccinations will make you sterile was one of the things they're addressing in here.
Yepper. Anyway, I think we should probably get back to the document where we left off, because we're getting low on time already. So.
Oh, no, we got an hour yet.
Okay.
I started late, remember?
That's right. I forgot we started
only half
late.
an hour, but
That means I got to stay up late, Jason? What the hell?
No, you don't have to. We can just get through this and maybe call it an early night, but I'm sure everyone will complain at us if we do.
We'll hang in there for the whole time. We got plenty more to discuss here.
I got to launch an episode, so.
You do have to launch an episode, and I'm not going to get back to my spot. I just closed out my document by accident. So tonight, by the way, everyone, is episode 300, where Crow and I start explaining how things really worked from Rome and becoming the Vatican. And we paint the picture by giving you the timeline like we always do, how things went from the beginning all the way up to 1500s-ish, I guess, is about where we probably stopped. But we're going to break that up into two parts. There's going to be a second part to that, because there's just so much when you're talking about Rome and the Vatican and all that. It's insane just how much there is. Crow, what do you think?
I think we should roll on with Wayne. Yeah, everything you just said is true. That's what I think. But we're on 147, last paragraph, right column.
Page 147. Let me get back there.
Oh, I'm looking forward to that episode. Can't wait to hear what you guys dug up.
It's a bond. It's a bond burner.
Yeah.
So why can't I get back to the right page? Oh, here it is. All right. So think of I'm gonna set this next part up. Think of Tom Hanks on this next section.
That bastard.
And I lost my place, though. I'm trying to find it. Here we are. For example, media coverage of celebrity medical diagnoses increases screening and can stimulate interest in behavior change. So go to Greece and talk about how you and your wife have the beer bug. In 2011, for example, former Brazilian President Lula da Silva publicly discussed his throat cancer, which he attributed to his long-held smoking habit. His frank discussion of the illness and his own role in causing it was widely covered in the media. Following his announcement, interest in quitting smoking reached unprecedented levels, and Brazil passed new anti-smoking laws. Interesting.
So what you just read explains to you verbatim why when celebrities die or anything else goes wrong with a celebrity, it's coast to coast every time for the exact same reason that they're citing here, because it works.
Oh,
absolutely.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Yeah, how many celebrities did they roll out during this whole thing? Oh, this one's got it. This one's got it. That one's got it. This one almost died with it. You know, all of that.
Well, they're even fake killing them just to get more of their death in. And by the way, Wesley Snipes went to fake jail for a fake $1 million fake IRS bill. Remember that? Took him right off the plane to put the fear of God into a thing that you don't have to do.
All right, so Google's searches in Brazil were 71% higher even 4 weeks after the announcement, long after the media had stopped covering Lula's diagnosis. According to one of the authors, Lula's announced cancer diagnosis, though tragic, was potentially the greatest smoking cessation promoting event in Brazilian history. You know, if you go over to Europe and a lot of these Central and South American countries, I'd swear that they're in a baby carriage with a cigarette in their hand sometimes, that they're like really, really into their smoking. And you got to wonder how much of that was due to the cigarette companies and how they can run rampant with their advertising and propaganda campaigns. Next, we have social learning about healthcare quality. Social engineering. People learn about the quality of healthcare from each other. Typically, if an individual visits a new doctor and is cured, the word spreads and the doctor's reputation improves. But what happens when the individual visits a new doctor and does not get the medicine that was sought, antibiotics or steroids, for example? Sometimes households will take the event as evidence that the doctor is not responsive to the patient's needs or does not stock the necessary medicines, rather than that the doctor knows what is best for the patient and is determined to provide the best possible care.
None of that makes any damn sense at all. First of all, the doctor isn't the pharmacy. The pharmacy stock. Just go ahead, man. It's complete. It's mumbo jumbo.
This is word salad almost. This whole thing. Like it's all just. Do the other bankers sit around and go, oh, yes, of course. Give me a brandy and a cigar. When people learn from one another, they may all end up holding the correct beliefs, or they may all end up mistaken. Not everyone's a complete retard. Sorry. All right. For example, if a person receives a referral by one doctor to visit another doctor, households take that as a signal to avoid the referring practitioner and visit only the referred practitioner. That's bullshit. That's nonsense.
What does it even matter where we live? Because you can't go see anyone unless you're referred in our little
Well, you're in a
HMO
network,
world.
so it is what it is, and you get who you get.
That's right. You don't choose anymore. Very rarely.
It's kind of like politics. This behavior prevents people from learning the underlying relationships between the practice of referral and health outcomes. Because households avoid doctors who refer their patients. What? They do not learn that those providers are actually better than the ones who refuse to refer their patients.
It's complete.
That's horseshit. I mean, come on.
They're trying to justify them referring their patients to a specialist.
Yeah, it's
they're saying because they know their limitations, they'll refer these people to a specialist. So that's better health care. That's what they're trying to claim there. It's nonsense, though.
Evidence from multiple studies of rural African households shows that people seek to match their illness to the most appropriate healthcare provider. Yeah, that's called common sense. My toe hurts. I think I'll go get my eyes checked.
Yeah, I don't feel good. Will this battery acid help?
When a new option or a new doctor becomes available, they are particularly interested to hear about others' experiences. They are more likely to visit a doctor when someone in their close community has recently visited that provider and had a good outcome. Okay. By following this simple process of updating expectations in the face of the unknown, households in Tanzania made better decisions over time and visited better doctors, as objectively measured by medical experts. Let me get this straight. Just to use their example, the country of Tanzania doesn't hold their doctors to a standard?
No.
That this is an issue in the first place.
They visited better doctors, as measured by medical experts. So the doctors, they visited the better doctors, says the doctors.
If they're in Tanzania, I think the witch doctor was one of their options. I'm not kidding. I mean, real
that could be.
Yeah.
We're talking Tanzania here.
True enough. The process of social learning, though, even when it is useful, can be very slow. For example, it took between 3 and 4 years for communities to learn whether new doctors in their area gave good or bad advice. Unlike information about how to improve their health, which is often ignored, information that aids households in seeking the best available care based on realistic assessments of the capabilities and quality of the facilities from which households can choose is likely to be very useful because households are already seeking this information. Better information could help them make better decisions more quickly. Well, duh.
God. It's like, what is this? Just some buffer words?
This is like, a sixth grader who had to write a term paper or something quick and decided to just fill the gaps with just word salad. That's what it is.
The trillionaires need to read something. I'll just take one line of information and fill the rest out.
Yep, we'll turn it into the, just word salad.
8 chapters should be good.
Add to it.
Psychological and social approaches to changing health behavior. Oh, here we go. Even after people accept information, they do not always act on it. The Zinc campaign discussed earlier succeeded in educating 75% of Bangladeshis, but 2 years after the program, Zinc was used in only 35% of the indicated cases. Although there are many models of health behavior, an assumption common to most is that people carefully weigh the benefits and barriers to adoption against their susceptibility to and the likely severity of bad outcomes if they do not adopt. That is, the standard models assume that individuals think deliberatively, not automatically. But as Chapter 1 showed, the reverse is actually true.
So see that? They're saying people think automatically, not deliberately. So they're saying here that people will just automatically either adopt these policies if they assume that they're good without any investigation into that. That's pretty much what that means. So you won't be deliberate about it. You'll just, everybody else is doing this. I'll do this too.
Well,
it's good to take, Tylenol when you have a headache. I'll do that too.
I think
that kind of thing.
It looks to me like the setup of a false dichotomy between the idea of thinking deliberately and automatically. After all, intuition would be lumped into automatically, which is what they're downing here. So they're downing things that everyone has and should be using more. I'm guessing that their idea of deliberately comes from the idea that someone would deliberate or try to reason out logically what's the best way to go. But you see, these two things are not mutually exclusive. And that's what they're doing here in the way they word it. They're saying, if this, then that, like it's computer program. We're not computer programs. We could use our intuition and critically think about what we're doing. It's a false dichotomy.
They're also overlooking the fact that a lot of people, especially in more rural type nations, have a lot of information that most people don't. Like the average city person is freaking clueless about so much shit. But people who are, as we always talk about, closer to nature, they know some things better than a lot of people might.
Oh, absolutely. That is true. And like Crow was saying, that is exactly the dichotomy they're trying to set up here. And it is a false dichotomy. The automatic thinking, the instinctive, just the knowing that something's not right with this, that instinct. And, the well-measured steps thinking through logically what the best solution is. These are not mutually exclusive of one another. You could do both. And this is kind of setting it up to be, it's one or the other. And, it's not something that's desirable to really think things through logically. So they just want people to instinctively react to things. That's what it's about. It's about trying to program people into that very basic reptile brain state where they just react to the stimulus.
Binary.
Think it through. Right.
Two pulled from the Deccan. The evil world we're all entering. But, there's a good example of this. When you meet someone that you've got to do something important and you're trying to assess, is this a good person or is this a bad person? Well, of course, your deliberate brain will try to reason out. But the truth is they might have a perfect haircut, have on nice aftershave, look the part, act the part. The only thing that's going to clue you is your intuition. I've done it a million times in my life where everything looks fine, but something ain't right here because I can smell some shit burning in the kitchen. And that's what they're downing as the automatical thinking. This is just, I don't know.
What's the line that Frodo says in the Fellowship of the Ring when they first meet Aragorn? He says, I think an agent of the enemy would look fairer but feel fouler. And Strider laughs and says, and I look foul but feel fair. Anyway, imagine someone who considers getting tested for tuberculosis. They know that there's a chance of being infected and that the illness is severe. But at the same time, taking the test would require a leave of absence from work early and stand in a line at a clinic. Studies about how people make decisions about healthcare have consistently found that people tend to consider the benefits and barriers while ignoring susceptibility and severity. Thus, people will often forego preventive medicine because of small obstacles, like having to wear a fucking mask everywhere you go.
Look what they're telling you right here, Jason. They're telling anyone who cares, if we want to do this horrible thing, just put up some small obstacles, and people won't even bother.
Well, and that has happened. There's been a whole bunch of people talking about recently how people won't go for small preventive measures because they don't want to deal with anything beer bug related, because it's just, no matter where you go, it's nonsense. And let me tell you, because I had to deal with it not too long ago, trying to go to a hospital these days is insane. Those people are so brainwashed, at least the ones at the front desk are. Oh my God, over the top ridiculousness. Thus, people will often forego preventive medicine because of small obstacles, even when they know that they are highly susceptible and face potentially severe consequences. Individuals frame the problem too narrowly. Inducing people to take more preventative care is difficult, but a deeper understanding of the way people think can help. Here we go.
Help who?
Yeah. One possibility, for example, is to reduce barriers to the desired behavior by making the exact steps needed for the preventive care more salient, or by providing a small material incentive. If you get your flu shot, we'll buy you some groceries.
Right.
It is also possible. Oh God, that one's great. It is also possible to alter the way people weigh the benefits of action by using nudges and other behavioral tools to alter the choice architecture. In addition, it may be possible to change behavior by changing the beliefs a person holds that are not related to the private benefits and costs of a given health measure, including beliefs that others would approve of the behavior, beliefs that others engage in the behavior, and beliefs in one's ability to perform the behavior. Okay. Which is called self-efficacy, apparently. In addition, people may be more willing to engage in the behavior if they know they will receive support, reinforcement, feedback, or reminders, or, as Crow said, a free joint. The discussion that follows gives several examples of the first two methods, presenting advice in ways that recognize how people make decisions and reducing the barriers to changing behaviors. The second two methods, community-level models of behavior and the use of support, reinforcement, and feedback, are covered in the upcoming section on follow-through and habit formation. All right, so framing information about vaccinations and HIV testing. There is a world of difference between these two statements. If you get the flu vaccine, you will be less likely to get the flu, versus if you do not get the flu vaccine, you are more likely to get the flu. Even though they contain the same information. No, they don't, actually. No, that's absolute lie. In a review of 94 studies comparing gain-framed to loss-framed messages, gain-framed messages consistently improved adoption of preventive behaviors such as vaccinations when compared to loss-framed messages with the same objective information. Interestingly, people who hear one or the other of the two messages are equally likely to say that they want to seek preventive care, but people who hear the first message are much more likely to follow through and actually get the vaccine. God help them. In general, the same information can be presented in different ways to improve actual behavior. All right.
So they're framing that in the way that if they tell you, if you get the flu vaccine, you will be less likely to get the flu. So if they're telling you, you take this vaccine, you're less likely to have a severe illness if you catch this. That's how they're drawing these people into taking this gene therapy, as it were. It doesn't really qualify in the medical definition as a vaccine per se, but, that's kind of how they're selling it, isn't it? So at any rate, you could see they're laying it on the table right here. This is how you get the idiots to line up and take this thing.
Roll up your sleeve.
You tout all roll up your sleeve. We have to get more shots in arms. I'm so tired of hearing that. Have you noticed that social engineering tripe going on all over the TV? More shots in arms. More shots in arms. Yeah, no, you're not putting a shot in my arm, buddy. So,
Have you guys ever seen a document in your life that uses the word salient as much as it? I mean, I can't tell you how many times I've read the word salient in this. Isn't that a word that's actually used in architecture, if I'm not mistaken? Anyhow, I'm just saying. Must be a reason.
Use that. Yeah, they only use that in these very robust documents.
Exactly.
So.
Crow,
salient is very robustly displayed here.
I'm putting two messages in the Skype chat for you whenever you would like to address those.
Okay. It's a brave new world at Secret Center. No other place to get the Universal One by Walter Russell that's not 200. And by the way, go to philosophy.org. That's the actual Walter Russell Museum. And when you contact them, tell them Crow sent you. They may cut you a break. And tell them you'd like a Universal One that you can afford. And by the way, you're supporting them directly.
Yes, you are.
And by the way, this Covidius Minimus nonsense did a number on them. As a matter of fact, they just sent me a very valuable book. Very few were printed in the 30s because they had the best year in their existence because Jason and I covered them a couple, 2-3 times.
Matt Presty is an awesome dude.
They're both awesome dudes.
Yeah. I forget the other gentleman's name, though. I just remember Matt. Derek, maybe? Dylan? It was a D name.
Yeah, no.
My apologies for forgetting him, but I liked the science advisor. I liked him a lot, too.
It's too many people. I can't think. It's too late.
Oh,
it's too late in the night.
We do a lot of shows,
I'm getting
bro.
old.
We do a lot of shows.
I did see some dirt in the neighborhood yesterday that was older than me.
Oh, really? Did you take a picture?
Wow.
I didn't.
Your dog probably stomped on it.
it was old enough it didn't want me to steal its soul.
Oh my. Read the one before that as well. The message in the Skype chat, take a look at that and we'll address that after the next section if you would like to say anything about it.
I see.
Chapter 1 described how raising the number of free test reports from 3 to 4 that a testing agency routinely sent to colleges had the effect of increasing the number of low-income students attending selective colleges. Get your free COVID tests, right?
Yep.
More generally, many program choices entail a default condition in which people either can choose to do something when asked, which is opting in, or are automatically enrolled, but given the choice to withdraw, opt out. You know what they opt in? Every freaking thing with this contractual horseshit that they tie us in from the day we're born. Well, kind of before we're born. When using a preventive service, it is believed to make all or most people better off, and when, even for those who do not gain from it, the cost is small, then whenever possible, it is better to present preventive services on an opt-out basis. The default should be set to the behavior that would make most people better off. Really? Why don't you give people in India clean water then? Healthcare is full of examples of opt-out activities. The doctor takes patients' pulse and temperature without asking them if they think it would be a good idea, for example. Surgical consent forms are designed to present the doctor's recommendations as the default, forcing the patient to find an alternative. What is the potential for increasing the number of defaulted behaviors? HIV testing is an area in which a change from opt-in to opt-out has been extensively studied. In 2004, the World Health Organization initiated a shift in its approach to counseling and testing for HIV by declaring an opt-out approach to be ethically acceptable for certain populations, specifically including people with tuberculosis. Isn't tuberculosis a bacterial infection?
I believe so.
I'm
Am I
pretty
mistaken?
sure you inhale it, right?
Right. That's what I'm saying. I know it's a lung thing, but I'm saying like that is something that can be quantified. You can put that under a microscope and see, oh yes, there's some baddies there that are not happy with your lungs. As opposed to things that have never been seen, never been isolated or anything. They're just reacting to whatever the stimuli that's going on.
What do you mean? I've seen cartoons of them everywhere.
Yeah, it was on Rick and Morty. Reviews of programs that compare the opt-in to the opt-out default generally find increased testing rates, but they also find low levels of testing in either program. More often, the reason is that the health services that provide counseling and testing have shortcomings of infrastructure, incentives, or governance. I guess they didn't give them enough weed. In addition, some of the studies find that the increased rate of testing did not result in more detection of HIV/AIDS. I wonder why. Suggesting that the additional people tested because of the new defaults were from populations that had not been exposed to HIV/AIDS. Oh, yeah, that's the reason.
They didn't know Magic Johnson.
They didn't go partying with Freddie Mercury out in the gay bars. Opt-out defaults are likely to increase the use of preventive services when health systems are able to provide them. However, as in the case of HIV-negative patients not opting out of testing, this improvement may occur at the cost of bringing in people for whom these services are less useful. All right.
So are you saying COVID testing is useless? It's the same basic thing. If you replace HIV testing with COVID testing, you could see the same kind of things going on here. People go in and they get this test and they test negative. Is it really useful for them? No. Is it useful for people that test positive? No. It's not. It's not useful at all. It's a total loss leader. It's a waste of time and money.
Well, they're going to test
really,
positive today, but probably negative tomorrow.
Right. And the whole thing is, testing positive does not change up the treatment plan at all. So what is the point? There's no point.
But you see, we've gone so far from logic. Who gives a damn whether some test tells you you're negative or positive? Are you sick? Can you function? Do you feel like you're going to die? Isn't that really where the rubber meets the road? So what they're doing is they're accusing these people of testing positive and then treating them as if they have some deadly sickness, when the truth is, I know personally probably 10 people that got quarantined. They all tested positive and not a single one of them got sick. So we got to switch the way we think. And, this false dichotomy they laid out where you can either think automatically or deliberatively, this is what we've all fallen for our whole lives. It's simple. Get back to being a damn adult and look through the nonsense.
But Crow,
who gives a damn what the test says? Are you sick?
But this document has been written by people who like to sit around sniffing their own farts out of wine glasses.
Doesn't that kind of kill the terroir?
No, but I'm serious though. It's like this is exactly what they're talking about, stuff that these people would never deal with, about things that make no freaking sense. Like you go to be checked out when you're not feeling well. You don't bother wasting time and resources when you're freaking fine.
Right, and that's the whole thing that's been turned on its head with this whole thing. Oh, you don't feel sick? Oh, but you were around somebody that was sick, so you should go get tested. Like, it's stupid on the face of it. It really is. And here's the other thing. There's no point in even testing because it doesn't change the treatment protocol at all. And that's the thing. I could understand maybe running a test if it would change up the treatment protocol in some way, shape, or form, but it doesn't. Go home and rest. That's the treatment protocol, regardless of whether you test positive or negative.
That's right.
That's it.
I just
So
told
what
you
is the
first.
point?
Yeah, exactly what the doctor told my buddy yesterday, who was told he tested positive.
Well, here's a crazy idea. If you don't feel well, stay home. Everyone else, go do whatever you want.
It's beyond ridiculous, you know.
I mean, how hard is this?
Every year people got the flu. Sometimes you get a flu that makes you wish you were dead for a day. It's pretty severe. You feel horrible, but you get over it. You have some chicken soup. And now the idea of being an adult like that is so far in the rear view.
You know, it's funny. I worked a job, and I'm sure a lot of people can relate to this, where they got mad at you if you called off. They couldn't really stop you, obviously, if you're sick. But how many places have a boss where, like, you're calling off because you're not feeling one? They're like, damn it! No, come in here. Be a man. Man up and get in here. It's like, well, no, I got 103 fever. I think maybe I'll stay home today. But now we're the exact opposite. It's like, oh my God, are you okay? Did you get tested at the door? Did they shoot you with a gun to make sure that your temperature was okay? Or did they swab your nose? Did they stick it up your butt?
Yeah, man, it's crazy. You traveled out of state?
So,
Did you get tested?
Have you guys noticed the massive push in a few directions? Like, we've seen that we'll give you free joints for the shot. We've seen that there's a big push right now for the forced scarcity idea, that there's not enough to go around. And this is on the tail of them announcing that, you know, a billion gazillion are being delivered to each state. It seems to me that underneath it all, I don't think this is going anywhere near as well as they were hoping for in terms of actual needles in arms.
No,
it doesn't appear to be going well, I don't think.
I could be wrong, but it sure feels that way.
There are plenty of people get it. Like, for instance, a little bit of personal information here. The group for the area where Rose and I live, we both have, we'll check in on the Facebook group for the area because sometimes it's good just to know what's going on. But there was a whole thread about all the Karens in the neighborhood rah-rah-rahing about, oh, I can't wait to get the vaccine. I got it today. When are you going? And they were all just like patting each other on the back. And I was like, oh my God. So it's hit and miss. Some people are really, really buying this crap, and some...
Yeah, but that's Facebook. How the hell do you know that that's even a real, actual resident of your area? That's what Facebook is for. You'll notice that in this document, the World Bank references Google data. So, you know, it's what these things, that's what they're there for. But anyhow, I got to punch out for about 2 minutes here. I'll be right back.
All right. Well, by the way, Rose to the rescue. The name of the science officer from the Russell Museum, who I forgot his name, humble apologies to him, Darren Collum.
Yeah, when you said Derek, I wanted,
I knew I was close. I just couldn't remember exactly.
Both awesome guys. And by the way, anything Walter Russell, you should go to philosophy.org and feed the source. And by the way, they're marking the hell up out of those books in places like Amazon and other places. And that's a form of censorship when you turn a book into $300 that you can buy somewhere else for $50 or less.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay, I'll be back.
That's on purpose because they don't want you seeing that information. It's just like it's kind of like gasoline or gold or oil or diamond, like anything, any of the stuff. It's not scarce. They just don't want you having it, or at least not very easy. That's how they maintain control, is through enforced scarcity through everything in our society. That is how it all works. Right, Wayne?
Absolutely. Artificial scarcity. It's all contrived. It's the same thing going on with this whole vaccine thing right now. They want people to believe there's a scarcity of this. They're short of them. You have to wait your turn, that kind of thing with the vaccine, because this attributes psychologically in people's minds more value to a thing if it's very scarce. It's the same thing with something like when we discussed a couple of weeks ago about the whole idea of Bitcoin. Well, there's a finite number of them, so therefore that attributes value to it somehow. It's the same thing going on here. It's all based on artificial scarcity, all of it, all the time. In the beginning of this whole thing last year, when all the toilet paper disappeared off of the shelves, That was
a
also-
social engineering experiment, and guess what?
It was.
We lost.
Yeah, man, because that's what it was. It was an artificial scarcity. It was an enforced artificial scarcity. There were warehouses of the stuff just sitting there untouched, just to kind of create this demand for it. It's all contrived. And that's the thing, especially now with this going on. And I think Crow's correct that this whole vaccine campaign that they're looking to do here is not succeeding as well as they'd hoped. Because I personally know a lot of people that are saying, yeah, man, I'm not taking that. I don't want that. But of course, you do see there are a lot of people out there that are, all about, oh, I got my shot today. Did you get yours? When are you getting yours? What kind is yours? I see those people all over Facebook all the time, too. And, it's sad, really. But there's two basic kinds of people with this stuff. The ones that are easily conditioned to be socially engineered, and the ones who kind of have a little bit of knowledge of the methods that they use and are a little more savvy as to what's going on with this stuff. And, it's sad to say many people really buy it hook, line, and sinker because they don't use their cognitive abilities to really think things through logically. Like these same people, they sincerely believe that wearing masks and social distancing has all but eliminated the flu. But yet, all this COVID going around, that's because of those people that don't wear masks and, don't follow these things, these super spreader events and stuff. It's all nonsense. It's ridiculous. But they've successfully run a campaign to rebrand the flu. They've done a great job. But that's essentially what's been going on here. But, by and large, people are going to believe the things that reinforce their already existing beliefs. And that's a lot of what they leverage on here. They trust in these different institutions for their health. They trust the doctors. They trust the scientists. They trust the white lab coats because these people, boy, they went to school for a long time. They sure are smart. They're way smarter than me. They spent a whole ton of money to go to school for 8 years for this stuff. Wow. They must know what they're talking about.
And they're 47 and still
them.
paying off their debts.
Right. They must know what they're doing. They must know what they're talking about. I should listen to them without any further investigation because they're experts and I'm just a dummy. I can't pick up a scientific research paper and read through it and understand it. So I should listen to them. And that's the attitude that they have. And it's sad. You can't get through to some people. But, I do see a lot of hope because I do see a lot of people really beginning to see the writing on the wall with this whole thing because, I ask people, a simple question a lot of times when I see them. Hey, how's your 2 weeks to flatten the curve going? And that kind of shuts them up instantly with a lot of different things. So, when you see where we're at 1 year, almost to the day now, 1 year into this whole thing. And it's just obscene to think of how they've engineered society the way that they have this past year into capitulating to these ridiculous demands. And it's been a very successful campaign for them by and large because they've used the different methods proposed by Bernays and others of that ilk. They know that, a person is smart, but people are dumb. And you could socially engineer people much more easily than you can a person. So that's the mentality that they use. That's why they use this model of affecting the public at large. Use the masses in their social engineering because then it also becomes a self-governing type of a mechanism as well. Hey, you're not wearing a mask. You can't come in here without a mask.
You just watch me.
Yeah. I'll tell you, it's insane. Just the way people are either 100% bought into this wholeheartedly, or there's those of us that just know it's absolute nonsense and refuse to capitulate. So, and that's all done on purpose too, because that creates more division, and that's what they're looking for. Division, divide and conquer. It's a simple formula: divide and conquer. Hegelian control mechanism right there. Control both sides of the argument, keep people at odds with each other over something of no real importance, and then you can pretty much do what you want.
What do you mean you don't put pronouns in your Twitter account?
That whole thing.
You're racist. Or is that
Yeah,
or is that sexist, or is that
math is
ist
racist now,
or
too.
phobe? You're something. You're not good. You're definitely not good in some way, shape, or form. Maybe all forms.
All I know is that plastic toy potato has me really upset.
You know, I was talking to Rose about that today, and I didn't even. That one was just too stupid for me. I didn't even look to see what the crazy SJWs were bitching about.
It's insanity.
All right. Oops, somebody's asking me a question. Sorry. Could you mention that there are black cheesecloth? Oh, my mic's in the way. Black cheesecloth masks you can buy that is like breathing normal if your job forces it and you just don't
fake
feel
mask.
like fighting. It helped a lot for me. Gotcha. Okay. Black cheesecloth like masks. Got it.
It's called fake. I posted in the main forum at crow777radio.com. There's a link to fakemask.com. And it even sells one that blatantly fake, not so blatantly fake.
What a freaking world we have to live in. Fuck, man. Like, this is a thing. When I was a kid watching Star Trek in 1987, this is not how I pictured the future.
The future is stupid. Let's face it.
You know, this is the way I see it as a 47-year-old. The world has turned into a bunch of sissies.
It's terrible. It really is. Compared to how it used to be, you know, all the hopes we had for the future growing up. I mean, I was lied to by the cartoons and stuff I watched as a kid. Like, where's my flying car, man? Now I got to deal with, the potato's gender is a problem. The toy potato's gender is a problem. Like, okay.
It's gotten so bad that if an inch of snow falls in the state of Rhode Island, they announce it as a blizzard coming beforehand, and they shut the schools before it happens. Now, when I was living in California, my dad took a sabbatical because he was a college professor, and we came here, and I had to do part of one semester of high school here. There were days when, I don't know, 2-3 feet of snow on the ground, and we're out there waiting for the bus. It was no big deal. It was just like, yeah, this is what we do.
Wayne, do you remember there was a day, and we had a cool bus driver. Remember, he was the red-haired guy. He was actually pretty nice. He was a younger guy. I don't remember his name, but I liked.
That was
I remember
his name, Jake.
Jake, yeah, that was it. Yeah, but he was actually a pretty cool dude. Like, he wasn't a dickhead asshole like so many bus drivers are. He was just like, yeah, this is a job, whatever. But he, I remember there was a day, and I'm almost positive you're 2 years behind me, but I think this was one of the years where we were together. The snow was so bad, and they made us go anyway, and Jake even said, it's like, okay, this might be a little rough, and it's going to be an effort to get there. Like, there's no way in hell that would happen now. Like, no, I remember him literally plowing through mounds of snow that was piling and piling and piling because for whatever reason they just decided not to cancel that day. And I remember the snow just flying from the front of the school bus because it was so bad. That wouldn't even come close to happening now. Like, it's the exact opposite mentality.
Yeah, it is the exact opposite mentality. I think I remember that time too. It was like 2 feet of snow or something on the ground.
Yeah, it's like
it
even
on the
today
road,
I'd be like, yeah, maybe you should cancel that. That's not the best idea.
Yeah, but we were supposed to go for whatever reason. I think it might have been like a half a day or something. So they just wanted to get the day in or something like that. I don't remember.
Yeah, I don't remember what it was, but I now granted, as a teenager, we all hated school and didn't want to go in the first place. But it was one of those common sense kicked in. It's like, hey, this isn't the best idea. Maybe we shouldn't be in this thing full of children in a blizzard.
Yeah, it just didn't seem like a good idea. No seatbelts either. Nobody cared about wussy seatbelts.
Do they? Yeah, right. They definitely didn't. You want to see what buses used to look like? Watch Ferris Bueller's Day Off. At the end.
Wait a minute. Do school buses have seatbelts now?
I have no idea.
Not to my knowledge.
I was gonna say.
Yeah, I haven't seen a school bus other than the one my buddy Sam, who's the farmer here. He bought an old school bus and converted it into. He put up lights, grow lights, and all the stuff because he's a farmer. He grows sprouts. He's a really cool dude. He's a good friend of mine now, actually. He converted the whole thing, like ripped everything out completely. He got like this white marine paint of some kind. I don't remember what it's called, but it water seals everything. He did the entire inside of the bus with this stuff and then has shells and everything to grow all his microgreens and all the other stuff that he grows. I was like, wow, that's innovative. That is really cool. And the damn thing still runs on top of it.
Mobile microgreens.
It could be. It's not really meant to be mobile, but hypothetically, he's only renting the properties he's at now. So
He grows sprouts.
actually, his real name isn't Sam Sprouts, but he goes by Sam Sprouts. His name is Sam, but it's it's great that like that's what he does with it. And when I finally saw the finished product, I was like, "Damn, that's innovative. I'm impressed." But that's actually who my daughter works for now. She works for him 2 days a week. So get to be friends with your local farmers, folks. I highly recommend it. Okay, let's see where we at in the document here. Prices as a source of meaning. Because the most obvious barrier to adopting new behavior is cost, lowering prices should be the best way to improve adoption.
Why is cost the behavior?
I would also suggest not wasting shit.
It's because of the World Bank that statement is true.
But prices have many meanings besides a value in exchange. You don't say, World Bank. Prices at or near zero may constitute a special threshold, according to a review by two people you've never heard of. People are willing to adopt many health goods at a price of zero or almost zero, but almost completely unwilling to adopt it at prices just slightly above zero. The study demonstrates this effect for deworming medicine, mosquito nets, water disinfectants, and soap. By the way, those are all things that everyone in the world should have stupid cheap access to. I don't care who you are.
The World Bank could put a mosquito net in every hand in this world and not dent 1 hour of one day's earnings.
Are you kidding me? The one of the clubs would have to give up one cigar each for that to happen.
I don't even think it would cost
1 day a week.
Cigar.
Just one day a week, and only once. But still. It appears that prices contain at least two different signals for people. First, low prices make things more affordable, but free means something special. When prices fall towards zero, free may convey a social norm. We all should be doing this. Free allows people to experiment with a product when they are uncertain of its value, and free can have an effective influence. An individual is excited to have won the opportunity to get something free. You know, free is an interesting concept. Some things deserve to be free and paid for by the government. I personally feel education's one of them. Medicine is one of them without the need of keeping it by a stranglehold. But sometimes when you give something away for free, people also, interestingly, this is an interesting psychological thing, they don't value it as much as if they had to put hard-earned money to it. But those things shouldn't be crisscrossed, like medicine, medical practices, things like that, should not be intertwined with let's gouge the shit out of somebody.
It's almost like they bit their tongue as they wrote this, because every time they wrote the word free, it was italicized. Did you notice that?
Yeah.
They're like, this is so abhorrent.
Like, this hurts.
Must be different.
Well, that's because somebody is really paying for it when it comes down to it. There ain't nothing in this world that's free. If it's free, then, there's strings attached to it. And that's why they italicized the word free. Because if it's free, somebody's footing the bill, but it's not necessarily the consumer in this case. So, that kind of is where the World Bank organization steps in, and where things like insurance companies step in. Because they'll be the ones that are footing the bill. But, when they foot the bill, they pass that expense onto the consumer of the product. So if you see that your insurance premiums within the past couple of years have skyrocketed, and your deductibles have skyrocketed, and your out-of-pocket maximums have skyrocketed, there's a reason for that. That's why. That's because they're covering the cost of all these free healthcare items, such as the vaccines. That's the insurance companies putting the money up for that. But don't be fooled by that. They're getting their money out of you. They're extorting it one way or another, or having it just given to them via government issue. So the government will go out there and print fiat currency and give it directly to these insurance companies so they could foot the bill for these vaccines and various other medicines that they will give away for free to the people to keep them sick so they come back to buy their products more. So you could see there's a cost to be paid. So free is not really how they're trying to present it here in the what we could say exoteric type text here that they're giving. The underlying meaning is somebody's footing the bill for it.
Well, they're also saying that if we get them hooked on it for free, they'll pay for it later.
Yep.
Crow, did you put a link to the cheesecloth chat? I see people asking about it.
Hold on, let me go see if I can find it.
Did you already drop it?
It's in the main forum. I've been so busy, I haven't been able to keep up.
Okay, well, if you find it, YouTube ND Live, I will drop it in there. We got a little time left, so hopefully Crow can grab it in time. Households given free mosquito nets may use them differently from the way households that purchase subsidized mosquito nets use them, and may be more likely to use them for their children, possibly responding to a social signal in the price. Here's also the difference in that, though. More than likely, if you're given something for free, they probably bought something in bulk and for the cheapest ones they could find, in comparison to you buying something yourself when you're more likely to buy a higher quality product than the government is handing out. Just saying that's probably the way it goes down a lot of times. Perhaps households adopt new technologies that are free in the short run, and then after they have experienced their value, they become willing to pay positive prices for them later. People are less likely to adopt a free option if they have been asked to reflect carefully on its value in comparison to a positively priced item. This finding suggests that the immediate response to free items is not fully rational. At least in some cases, it is based on an automatic, not a reasoned response. When things are free, however, people may overconsume or waste the product. Positive prices may also help target goods to where they can do the most good. And for curative medicine, the willingness to pay can be high. Now, that is an incredibly interesting statement. Curative medicine.
Yeah, man, curative medicine. Yeah, people would be willing to pay a high price for curative medicine, wouldn't they? I think they're trying to apply that standard to their medicines that kind of will treat symptoms but not really cure the overall condition causing the symptoms. So anyway, the whole premise there is give these people this thing for free, and once they see the benefit of it, then they would be willing to pay more for it. So at some point, they pull the rug out from under you with this free treatment kind of a plan here. Doesn't last forever, and like I said, at some point, you're paying for it one way or the other. They'll get it. They'll extort the money for this from you one way or the other, which is why in that previous paragraph up there, they had the word free italicized, because that's implying that somebody somewhere is paying for it, and they will extort the money for that from the consumer in one way, shape, or form. It may not be something direct as, okay, well, I'm selling you this vaccine for X amount of dollars, you're going to pay that. That's not how it works exactly. You're paying for the service of the health insurance, and then the health insurance service pays for it. But they do pass the cost on to the consumer, and you can make no bones about that whole thing. That happens all throughout the markets of the world. And when you have the World Bank Group involved, you better guarantee that somebody at the top of the power chain there at the World Bank is looking to turn a profit on the whole condition. So they're not going to foot the bill for something without receiving back more in return for it.
By the way, the link to the fake mask thing is in both YouTube and D Live. Everyone enjoy. Make sure you have a shit-eating grin on your face every time you use it, because that's funny.
And you can see it.
And you can see it. All right, let's see. Where did I leave off? There we go.
You could tell people this is a great new technology. It's paper thin.
Tell them it's nanotech.
It's nanotech.
People believe anything if
new
you say it's
nanotech.
nanotech.
It doesn't have to cover my face. It's got reverse ion technology.
You could say it's quantum too. They believe that horse
There,
shit
better
just
yet,
as well.
Quantum.
Quantum nanotech. It's a quantum nanotech mask. Don't you know?
This is a quantum virus net.
And what's interesting about that statement? It's all poppycock. The cognitive effect of free or minimal pricing is a new area of research in developing countries, and much will be learned over the coming decade. However, policymakers can already begin to think about how to signal the excitement that is contained in the word free without incurring the costs of offering a zero price. If the good is important to health and has positive externalities, if demand for the good is otherwise low, and if waste is not a large concern, then reducing the price to zero should be considered for the sake of the effective response it can evoke. And they spelled effective wrong. How entertaining. Vaccinations, for example, meet these conditions. Ho ho, do they now?
Ding, ding, ding. Winner, winner, chicken dinner. There it is right there. See? That's the whole point. This is the experimental phase right now with this whole thing. That's what they're saying. Remember, this was written in 2015, okay? And they're saying the next 10 years will be an important gauge for how well this goes. So that's what they're doing with this. They're using this. This is a test to see how many people they could get on the hook with this thing. And, we can see they're giving it away for free. And then once again, they italicize the word free in that paragraph, too.
Does the next 10 years include 2020 and 2021?
Maybe. This was written in 2015. So, hey, what do you know?
All right. Insane. In contrast, if waste is a large concern, prices should be kept above zero and social norms should be invoked to increase demand for the good. The positive prices are a targeting mechanism. They help ensure that the right people are buying the good or service. Coupons, prizes, public celebrations, and media and Tom Hanks can all be used to create or strengthen a social norm or generate an effective response, even if prices are not zero. Well, how about you do that on a case-by-case basis, and those who truly can't afford a thing should be helped out, and those who can should be a little bit of an expectation. How does that sound?
Sounds a little logical, but, we can't have logical going on.
Common sense to me, but, we're the only place I ever find common sense is on Crow 777 Radio, right?
Pretty much. There's very few bastions of common sense left in this world.
You said bastions.
I did say bastions.
He probably haven't spelled it right.
Bastion.
The rat bastion.
Conditional cash transfers and commitment mechanisms. Oh my, this sounds like now they're trying to give people a high-interest loan. In some cases, goods and services are free, and people still do not use them. Many preventive services, such as antenatal? What is that?
Antenatal services.
Antenatal services. What is that?
That's like for when you're pregnant.
That's
like
what I was thinking.
types.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, that's what I was thinking. When they're provided for free but are underutilized, well, yeah, because some people don't want to go to Planned Parenthood, Bill Gates. One well-documented way to increase use is to create conditional cash transfers where, for example, women receive payments for going to the antenatal clinic but forfeit them if they fail to go. That's right, you get paid to go to Planned Parenthood in this state. On the surface, these programs do not appear to use anything but standard economic incentives to improve behavior, but considered more broadly, some incentive programs reveal interesting behaviors. So to tell you what they really think of a lot of people, they just offer a free joint to get you to take the poison. There was a program that examined in which women received free lentils and plates as an incentive to immunize their children. A lentil, by the way, is a little legume, right?
It's a legume. It's actually the most complete protein that's not meat, I believe.
Yeah, they are supposed to be very, very good for you. Are they considered a superfood? I'm actually not sure. Many parents were taking their children to receive at least one vaccination, but were not following through to complete the entire series. That might be because something bad happened. The incentive, right, Wayne?
Absolutely.
The incentive helped increase the rates of full immunization. Yeah, I bet it did. Thus, even when people value services, many parents made sure that their children were partially immunized. Get back up there. Money can help people focus on completing a full course of action. Commitment devices can help people follow through on intentions to change behavior. In a case involving smokers in the Philippines, people voluntarily deposited their own money in accounts that would be forfeited if they did not quit smoking. Participating in this experiment did indeed help smokers quit smoking and not resume smoking. The randomly selected individuals offered this opportunity were 3% more likely to quit as measured 1 year later. 3%. It's not a whole hell of a lot, folks. 11% of people offered the opportunity chose to commit their own funds, and 34% of them made good on their intentions. All right.
That's not a good percentage. Only 1/3 of them actually were able to make good on it.
It's still higher than most banks offer you for interest rate in your checking account.
This is true.
We see right through their horse shit, don't we?
Yep.
Higher than the interest, lower than the APR.
Yeah. Asking people why they don't seek care is not useful. Asking people why they forego care that would seem to make them better off is generally not helpful for forming policy. The studies often appear to have great predictive power in that what people say matches what they do. However, this is deceptive because people adapt their beliefs to match their behavior, and thus while the studies tell us that people did choose a certain behavior, they do not tell us why. These studies do a better job of explaining and predicting intentions than actions. Thus, surveys of knowledge, attitudes, and practices fail to identify explicit ways to change behavior. You expect people to tell you the truth?
Yeah, not only that, it's like what they're saying here is, basically these people, they don't want to do certain things because, well, maybe they had a reason not to, like a legit reason not to, and they don't really want to look at the reasons. They don't care about the reasons. They just want to change the behavior. See, that's the thing. It's not about the reasons, because some of the reasons might necessitate them to change up what they're doing or how they're doing it. Like, for instance, if they're trying to get people to take a vaccine per se, and people do not want to take a vaccine, well, are they going to ask why? Well, apparently not. That's not important to them. They don't want to know why, because if they were disclosed from the people as to why they didn't want to take the vaccine, they would find out that, first of all, the vaccine may not be safe. It may not be, exactly what they thought it was, and therefore they would have to take action on the other end and do something themselves. They don't want that. They just want to change the people's behavior to compliance. See? That's the key right there. They don't want to have to put these questions out there, because then they might become accountable for these questions at some point. And they don't need that going on. They just want to change your habits. And crickets.
Oops, my bad.
I didn't know my monologues were that boring, man.
My apologies. Sometimes I forget that I hit the mute button.
I was muted. Yeah, I was too. Double mute.
See, a lot of people, here's why that happens, just so everybody knows, a little behind the scenes information. I had a lot of people bitching at me that they could hear me breathing because my mic was so good. Even though I'm not like right on top of my mic, I kind of hang off to the side of it. Apparently, it was still sensitive enough to pick it up. So I've developed the habit that as soon as I'm done speaking, I hit mute on my mixer. But occasionally that happens where I'm distracted for too long and I forgot that I'm muted, and I just go and start reading and nobody can freaking hear me. It's kind of funny, really, if you think about it. So let me start that over, because I read 3 pages before I realized. Improving follow-through and habit formation. As discussed, sometimes people form intentions to adopt preventive actions, but do not follow through. They intend to change, but before an activity becomes a habit, it is difficult for them to maintain the energy and focus to carry out their good intentions. Fun fact here I learned being a corporate dick sucker, we were always told that it takes 30 days to form a habit, so that you could use this as a weapon against your customers. The key to behavioral interventions is to make the long-term benefits of adherence salient in the short term. Individuals often do not need information about distant benefits. They need to experience immediate benefits. A good example of how immediate benefits can help improve adherence is HIV/AIDS treatment in Africa. Despite significant additional difficulties in access, education, and information, it was found that baseline adherence to antiretroviral therapy, or ART, I like ART better, that's easier to say, was much higher among African patients than among patients in developed countries like the United States, primarily because the African patients were sicker when they first received care and therefore felt the benefits of ART more immediately. Well, that makes sense, of course. Adherence is easier when the benefits are salient on a day-to-day basis. All right. Using reminders to increase adherence to medical regimens. One of the most rapidly expanding tools in healthcare is the use of mobile phones to communicate regularly with populations that were previously difficult to reach. Oh, yes, it's interesting. Has anyone seen the little Microsoft crap that they're doing at schools now, where they just do everything by a QR code on the phone? You get shot in the head, they ask you a couple dipshit questions, you get the approval. My headphones just fell on the ground, thanks so much. And the little thing pops up on your phone, and then you could go to the next gate and get buzzed in, and you could actually go to school that day. Isn't that lovely? Thanks, Microsoft. One of the most rapidly expanding tools in healthcare is the use of mobile phones to communicate regularly with populations that were previously difficult to reach. Got to get those 5G towers up. There has been positive experience in multiple settings with reminders now easily sent through text messaging. In developed countries, there is robust evidence of the effectiveness of using mobile technologies to remind people to attend health appointments.
There it is. Got to get robust in there.
Robust. Well, is that the same word they were using in that one document that we kept laughing? They were using the same stupid word over and over and over again. Maybe that person read that document. The evidence in developing countries is more mixed, not because the technology is not effective, but because few studies have been carefully evaluated. Systematic reviews of the existing evidence in developing countries recommend implementation and scaling up, but caution that little evidence points to what works best in different situations. They suggest that mobile messages are more likely to be effective when there is follow-up, when the message is personally tailored to the recipient, and when the frequency, wording, and content are highly relevant to the patient. Blasting text messages to large portions of the population, reminding them all of the things they can do to improve their health, is likely to be a waste of resources. The messages are not salient or tailored. Indeed, it was found that daily messages about adherence to ART for HIV/AIDS are not effective, but that weekly messages are, suggesting that people are not forgetting to take their medicine, which is taken daily, but rather need a reinforcing message on a less frequent basis. Okay, well,
So there it is. They're using the technology in order to help, implement their programs and keep people doing the things they want them to do. So you can see how it's being used as a tool to tailor to each individual as well. And this is where like AI comes in and these different algorithms and things, because they could tailor a custom message specifically to you and blast it across your phone on a semi-regular basis to remind you to do something. Did you get your vaccine today? CVS is offering a $25 gift card if you get your vaccine within the next 3 days, that kind of thing. That's kind of what they're talking about here. That's what they're going to be doing with this stuff if they haven't already started.
Crow, take a look at the message I just put in there for you. I'm going to do the next paragraph while we do. Triggering community-level responses. Patients are more likely to adopt a new health practice when their experience with the provider has been positive, or if they have positive responses from the community. A good experience with the provider gives patients a sense of immediate satisfaction when they follow through, similar to the sense of satisfaction from conforming to community norms. In the latter case, community feedback becomes the benefit. Thus, even when there are no immediate benefits to adherence or adoption, community reinforcement can be generated by encouraging adoption at the community level.
That's right. Everybody wear your masks at the store, even though there's no real benefit to it, but everybody else is doing it. So,
and the states around me, surrounding Louisiana, have all canceled all that horse crap, and the dipshits in Louisiana are still doing it for the most part. Crow, do you have an answer for that?
I don't wear a mask.
No, to the question that's in Skype.
Oh, hold on. Brave New World. Yeah, I think Rose nailed it. The Light of Egypt, volumes 1 and 2. I did get a book with both volumes in it. It's kind of a must because it reframes the way you could think about things, if nothing else.
Yeah. No, didn't we do a couple of years ago? Didn't we do a chapter out of that or something like that? That was just very to the point. Like it really nailed it.
I think we were gonna, but I don't know if we did it.
I don't remember. We've done over 300 shows now.
That's 25 days straight if you want to listen. Actually, it's more than that because some of our episodes go long.
Yep, that's true.
and that's just from Crow 777 radio. Wouldn't it be cool to know everything we've done everywhere?
Yeah.
A lot of hours put in, that's for sure.
It's a little overwhelming when I think about it, because people ask me all the time, what episode is this? What episode is that? I was like, that's what I've got Rose for. I have no idea.
Well,
what I do with my clock cycles in my brain is writing the next episode or producing the next episode. Well,
to be fair, the way that I label things is definitely not helpful to that end, but the point is the way I'm doing it works. In the same way it's difficult for us to track down an episode, it's hard for them to do censorship. I never put a guest name in the title because that's how you draw the lines, and that's what the internet was built for, tracking. So just so people know why I title the way I do. But it does make it hard.
Let me take a look here, because we're getting close to 2 hours here, and I know everybody's tired. Okay, we're almost done
maybe
with this.
we might want to just cut down to the conclusion.
Right. So let's jump down to the conclusion.
I think we covered all the salient points.
Yeah, we did. All right, so conclusion.
In all their robustness.
It was very robust. Kind of like that
And
wine
free.
that I was drinking.
Italicized.
And the cheese that I like, it's robust. And the coffee, that's robust too. Understanding that people think automatically, interpret the world based on implicit mental models, and think socially allows policymakers to make major strides in improving health outcomes. Individuals sometimes value information highly, for example, when seeking curative care, but at other times, providing information is not sufficient to get people to change behaviors that undermine health. Framing effects that make social expectations and social approval more salient can sometimes encourage individuals to seek preventive care and adhere to treatment when they otherwise would not, even though the individual benefits exceed the individual costs. Individuals can suffer from an intention-action divide, and so can healthcare providers, and commitment devices and reminders can narrow those divides. Appealing to social expectations and professional standards can lead to significant improvements in the actions of providers. When providers act in the best interests of their patients are less likely to notice and increase their trust in the advice provided by these same providers, which should lead to further improvements in health outcomes. By the way, World Bank, if you'd like me to read this document out to you in my professional manner, I charge $300 an hour. It's a killer deal for you.
There you go, man.
You mean
You should
$30,000 an hour?
Yeah, how many harumphs could you get from the board of directors up there? Harumph.
All right, so that's going to do that. What do you guys want to talk about to wrap it up here?
Well, I think bottom line in this is the World Bank has spent a great deal of time to understand human psychology to the point to understand that people think automatically, interpret the world based on implicit mental models, and think socially. And that allows their policymakers to make major strides in improving health outcomes. See, right there in the conclusion. And what they mean by health outcomes is behavior modification. That's what they're talking about. They could achieve behavior modification by understanding these very basic tenets of human psychology. And they do understand it. They've spent a lot of time and money studying it. And there's a reason for that, because you see, it's all about social engineering. And, you know, it's kind of a tell on the face of it that the World Bank has a document like this that just completely talks about this whole premise of human psychology and manipulating people in this way. And especially when it relates to their health implications. So, when you know that from the top down, the structure is pushing the whole agenda of vaccinations and this kind of dystopian medical control grid model, you could see that these people have their dirty fingers in all of this. So this is where it comes from, is World Bank. They're one of the central hubs of power in this world, and, you know, the things that they put out in these types of documents could be very telling. It's a blueprint for those people who are, you know, in the positions to implement this stuff. That's what it's there for. Make no bones about that. This is a blueprint for people to follow that are in those positions. So, even though they try to frame it in a way we're concerned about the public's health, no, that has nothing to do with it.
Well, it also guides their gang, right? It's like if you're a Republican or a Democrat, every day somewhere in that party talking points get put out. So everyone in the party knows what they're expected to hold up. Not only is it a reverse engineering document, so it could be put to ill will, it lets everybody in these circles know to toe the line and how to toe the line and what the line is. It's salient, isn't it?
Very robust, for sure.
All right, so Crow, are we dropping the episode tonight, or are we going to drop that in the morning?
No, I'm going to put it out tonight.
All right, everybody. So this is our next landmark, episode 300, on how the Roman Empire became the Catholic Church, part 1, mind you. This is going to be over 4 hours worth of stuff. The part 2 will be coming out probably Monday, I assume, right? So that's it for us. Wayne, you want anything you want to throw out there?
Yeah, man, I just recorded the other day with our buddy Billy Ray Valentine, so he should be putting that out sometime soon, his show, The Infinite Fringe. So I'll be on there. He's over on Aftermath Media as well as Iconic, and I think he's still, producing shows over with the Hameen radio group, too. So he's got a lot going on his plate, too.
How's he doing?
He's doing well. He's in grad school now, so he's been a busy guy.
Yeah, good for him. Last I heard there was some to do, but that seems to be far behind us now.
All right, I guess that's going to do it for us tonight. By the way, Rose and the Great Baldini, I'm assuming, are doing the Poppycock Report in the morning. Hopefully I'm not putting my foot in my mouth in there because I didn't ask them, but generally it's every Tuesday and Thursday morning, so I know that they've got quite the fan base going for that as well. So that'll be the next thing you hear from us after the episode drops tonight. So, all right. I know we were kind of light and bantered a lot tonight, but I we need that sometimes, don't we?
Maybe it's time we make like a bunch of babies and head out.
Well, yeah. All right. Thanks, everybody. You're appreciated. Glad to have over 400 people here on YouTube. And how many do we have on DLive? I didn't even look. Let's see what we got in DLive. 100 viewers, it says. Cool. That's great. Over 500 people live. And I know by tomorrow it'll be a couple thousand. So, hey, at least we're reaching some people, right? Oh, by the way, I will be at the Solar Return Festival that our friend Karen B is putting on. I'm going to be playing half hour, 45 minutes-ish. I'm not entirely certain yet of an acoustic set of my original material. So, let me get the link for that because I don't know it off the top of my head, but I want to give it to everybody in case you're interested and aren't aware of it. Solar Return Festival. But it's on March 27th in Greenville, South Carolina. Here we go. Let me grab the link and give it to all you fine folks. If my Google would work. There we go. Okay. That was weird. It's almost like they're watching me or something. But that would never happen.
Spooky.
Spooky action, ladies and gentlemen. Just like old Albert said. All right. There is the thing. I haven't asked Karen to know how many people have actually got tickets so far. But hey, it's going to be just like Flattoberfest. No masks. It's actually, I love this. It's in a Shriners Hall. And guess who is the one group that doesn't have to follow the rules? That's why we're going back there again. That was great. So anyway, hope to see you there. It'll be a great big hug fest because we're not afraid of no ghosts. All right, everybody. Thanks. Take care.
By and by to see. Line of light, I might believe in heaven. I sign the times and ask you to stay. That's the living story. Take my hand and let's fly away. Manifest inside me, an angel. The universe will speak. Manifest inside me, an angel, for all to see. Manifest inside me, an angel. The universe will speak. Manifest inside me, an angel, for all to see. Manifest inside me, my angel. The universe will speak. Manifest inside me, my angel, for all to see.